you're back. Sorry to keep you waiting, but just to let any new viewers know, this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll put up a card for it right now. Come on, it's right there. It's right there. Go ahead. Click on it. Watch it. You know. I'll give you a moment. Are they gone? Good. Now it's just you and me, you masochistic bastard. Well rested and ready for more. Let's do it. Huh. The intro graphics a little messed up, but I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. So in our last run-in with Doki Doki Literature Club, we watched with joy and delight as a seemingly innocent dating simulator spiraled out of control into a wallowing pit of misery and death as one of our in-game best friends, named Sayori, admitted to us that she suffered from severe depression throughout her entire life. We acted like a jackass about it, spilled our feelings to her when we didn't really mean it, and it turns out that didn't mean a damn thing, as regardless of what option you picked in that scene, by the time we reached the point where I decided to end off the last episode, we'd have still left her hanging. So would you believe me if I said it gets even stranger from there? No, you wouldn't. Maybe you would. Maybe you've already played the game, so don't need me telling you what happens in it. Whatever the answer, I'm still gonna keep going. I already started this game, and you better believe I'm going to finish it. So, without any further ado, let's jump back into Doki Doki Literature Club. First of all, no, you cannot load from a previous save state you made before the game shut off. Any attempt to do so will be met with the game saying the file is missing and immediately starting a new game. Within that game, we're immediately greeted by this lovely garbled mess from apparently a new character with the name ... who I guess is taking Sayori's role in this version. Let's see how it goes this time with... that's not supposed to happen. Well, I guess that wraps that up. Just kidding, there's more. Now, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the beginning of the second part of the game is pretty identical to how it went the first time around, with slight changes. The most obvious difference, other than the glitchiness, is the fact that Sayori just straight up doesn't exist anymore. It's not like she's acknowledged in the past tense or anything, or that the other characters remember her, but also know that she's dead. They have no recollection of her whatsoever. She's not alluded to in any way, she just doesn't exist now. That means that any previous actions or plot developments initiated by her have to now be as a result of other characters. Case in point, instead of Sayori inviting us to the literature club, this time it's Monika doing it. Wait a minute. Monika inviting us instead of Sayori. This is after the kind of left her hanging line. Okay, suspect number 1 identified. But aside from all that, the first day proceeds pretty much as it did before, only with less Sayori and more of the game freaking out on us. It also allows us to put lines like this in a whole new perspective. And to that, I'm gonna do away with the foreshadowing counter for this part, since I think it's safe to say the cat's out of the bag at this point, so it served its purpose. Still, I don't have much to comment on for this first day in the new game, so let's skip forward a bit to the first poem writing session, shall we? Alright, before I can do that, what the hell is this? A special poem? Pfft, sure, let's take a look. Call me crazy, but I don't know if that really qualifies as a poem. Maybe it's up to me to read between the line, or squares, I guess, in this case. At least the poem writing function's the same. Of course, with no Sayori, we only have Natsuki and Yuri to impress, but once again, I'm not going to veer too far in either direction. Let's just make sure both of these two feel loved and supported, and like their lives are worth living, because they have at least one person in their life who truly cares about them. I have to do this because Lord knows I fumbled that hardcore last time. Okay, let's see what they think. Well, I'm back at the literature club. Monika greets me once again and soon starts conversing with Yuri, much like last time, though I will admit there are a few small differences. See if you could spot them. They're pretty subtle, so I don't blame you if you don't pick up on them right away. Excuse me, Monika, I'm trying to read the text. Could you move out of the way, please? And is Protag drunk or something in this version? Why is the screen slowly zooming in and tilting? Could I just keep doing this as long as I don't go to the next dialogue box? Oh, whatever, I gotta finish this game, I can't do that now. Again, just like last time, yeah, get used to me hearing that, we decided to keep talking to Yuri. But as with many similar events compared to the last time, there are differences. In this instance, Yuri seems to be overcome with a seriously lazy eye. Really, does anyone maybe just want to push that back into place or something. Okay, that's better. One thing that's apparent from the start of this new game is that while things have certainly been shaken up, most of the characters' personalities remain the same. Yuri is still Yuri and Natsuki is still Natsuki. They mostly act the same as we saw them act earlier, though I'm not sure I remember this line from earlier. I can't recall any of the text from last time being surrounded by these huge black borders either. And oh, rambling? Nah, you're not rambling. Why would you be rambling? I will concede that you did say something weird this time, though. Oh, and that time, too. You are right, Yuri. Natsuki slipped something in the cupcakes this time around. Is that why we were tilting like that earlier? I already feel like I don't know what the hell is going on anymore. You know, am I sure that I shouldn't just be checking in on what the other club members are up to? Oh, no? I still have to do the reading part with her? Alright, let's see if anything's different about this scene. Okay, that answers that, I suppose. Yeah, I agree, Protag. She does apologize a lot, doesn't she? Oh, and in case you were wondering, we get the same up-close and personal scene with Yuri as we did last time. But look at this vast difference! I don't remember Yuri being this smile the first time we did this. Then again, neither does she, so I digress. We start noticing Yuri being a bit fidgety and ask if she's alright. In response, she, after being all grinny grin some more, rushes out of the classroom. Any explanation for that, class president Monika? Oh, she just does this sometimes? Okay, good enough for me. Hey, nobody would notice if I just steered clear from her from now on, would they? Alright, back to something I know. Let's share some poems. Looks like we have even less options than usual, so let's go with Natsuki. And it goes pretty much the same as last time. Whoopity fucking shit, let's move on. I'm trying to get to Monika sharing her poem with us, but right now she seems more focused on throwing as much shade at Yuri as possible. Do you talk about all the club members that way when they're not in the room? You're kind of weird, Monika. Has anyone ever told you that? I feel like no one has ever had the heart to tell you that. And speak of the devil, Yuri's back, which I guess means I'm gonna share with her. But first I gotta read Monika's poem. This one wasn't the one she showed last time. In fact, it almost seems like a continuation of the one she showed earlier. But wait a minute, wasn't everything reset after Sayori's death? How would Monika be able to write a follow-up poem to the one she already wrote beforehand? Look, all I'm saying, Monika, is I'm onto you. When we share it with Yuri this time, her appraisal is significantly more positive than it was before. Instead of pointing out its faults and suggesting ways we can improve, she simply refers to it as exceptional. She seems really embarrassed by that, actually. I mean, I've heard of people being too shy to take compliments, but Yuri is so self-conscious he can't even give compliments. We get into some poetry analysis yet again before I get a peek at Yuri's poem. It's the same as last time. Next. Oh no, I forgot I'd have to witness this again. Yeah, it's time for Yuri and Natsuki's argument. Alright, let's just get to this like we did before. Whoa, I don't remember that from last time. But, oh shit, someone's throwing hands this time around. Okay, Yuri, let's tone down that Redditor speak a little. You might want to cool it with that. I mean, you actually got a little bit of a point there. I mean, Natsuki is a little bit of a goddamn, Natsuki's going for the throat. Yeah, I agree with Yuri. What the fuck is wrong with her? I mean, no, do not rope me into this, please. No, I'll just let them settle it with oh god, what choice now? How do I even? What do I pick? What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Oh man, Monika, you are a lifesaver. Thank you for getting me out of that one, and for positioning the text in a way that I can actually still read it. Very thoughtful of you. Wait a minute. Monika takes us outside of the classroom and tells us that if this incident makes us want to spend less time with the other club members, that's fine. We can always spend time with her instead. And, I mean, credit where it's due, she did get me out of that nightmare I was just in, so maybe I owe her one. All of a sudden, Natsuki busts out of the classroom with tears streaming down her face as she wordlessly runs off. When we check back in with Yuri, the text tells us she's in a sorry state as well, repeating that she didn't mean it, whatever it in question was. Maybe it is for the best that Monika let us out when she did. I don't know what Yuri said to Natsuki, but it must have been pretty bad. Even creepier is when Yuri pleads to us that she's not like this, and that something horrible must have come over her today for her to say what she said. Monika takes over and reassures Yuri that it's okay, and by tomorrow, Natsuki will have forgotten all about it. Yuri asks for some alone time with us when, oh, Fuck, man. Alright, whatever. Let's just write another poem, I guess. Christ almighty, what fate have I resigned myself to? Oh well, I'm glad someone has gotten more comfortable here over the past few days. My comfortability went out of the window around the same time Sayori's neck snapped like a twig. Case in point. After she finishes fully materializing, Yuri pulls us aside to apologize for what happened yesterday. She states how it hasn't happened before, and how she wasn't even mentally sound at the time. Oddly enough, the person significantly less affected by this is Natsuki, who just yesterday left with tears in her eyes and is now suddenly, well, her usual self, which isn't exactly a ray of sunshine to begin with, but still. The fact that she doesn't even recall yesterday is odd. I wonder if the class president has any explanation for this. She doesn't, seemingly, and she's yet again late to the club since she was busy practicing piano again. After all that dissipates, it's once again just me and Yuri. She asked us to spend more time together in the club, and we of course agree to it, but not after noticing how hard her heart is pounding for whatever reason. As we're preparing some tea for a reading time together, she grabs the water pitcher from us and leaves the room to fill it up. When asked if we can accompany her, she seems oddly staunch in her decision to go alone, which is fine, but after 10 minutes pass, yeah, I might be worth checking up on her to make sure she's okay. It seems like a recipe for disaster when we're drawn towards what sounds like someone in pain. We finally turn the corner to find... Hey, Yuri. You, doing a little project? Yeah, a little project on your arm flesh? That's great. Hey, you look really focused on that, so I better not keep you any longer, and oh my god, what the fuck is happening? Wait, how is that even Oh, cool. You're back. I might be losing it slightly. Oh well, it's tea time, I guess. Oh, and Yuri wants to sit on the floor. Why? Well, it's a little easy on her back. Why is that important? Because of her posture, of course. They even say it right there. I mean, what with her constantly being hunched over reading all the time, it would take its toll eventually. Of course that's the reason. Nah, just kidding, it's her tits. I'll stop playing stupid. For the most part, we're now enjoying our tea and reading time. Sure, it's kind of intimate, but that never hurt no one. We even brought some chocolates. This is just nice and wholesome. But in the spirit of this game, all good things must come to an end. As Yuri's heart starts pounding once more, and she's unable to calm herself down, feeling like she's starting to lose her mind, until all she wants to do is look at us. Which leads into this very disturbing image of Yuri staring into our soul with her eerily human-looking eyes, twitching and everything. Which is thankfully cut short by Monika. Thank Jesus, at least there's someone in this club I can rely on. Why yes, Monika, I'd be happy to share poems. Oddly, when we do pick Monika, rather than sharing poems right away, she tells us about what we saw earlier with Yuri. It turns out that, according to Monika, when Yuri gets too excited, she finds a place to hide and starts cutting herself with a pocket knife. Yes, indeed, Monika, that is kind of messed up. Thank you for noticing. She also makes it a point to making clear that it's totally not because she's depressed or anything like that. I mean, that would just be stupid. Nah, she just gets off to it or whatever. But either way, Monika warns us to keep our distance from her, and even says that we shouldn't be shy to spend a little more time with her. Oh well, let's just take a look at the It's one of the same ones we saw last time, just Monika apparently forgot to proofread it this time. Oh, and this. Whatever that means, am I right? Besides, we have Monika's writing tip of the day to get to. Let's... what? No, you don't really have a voice. Wow, you're really hitting me with the questions, aren't you? I mean, what the actual fuck? Let's just see Natsuki's poem. It's still the same as last time. Okay, let's move on. Oh boy, it's Yuri's turn. Let's see what she's got for us this time. Oh, wow, this is a thing. Man, it's hard enough to read her poems with her handwriting, and now you throw this at me? Cut me some slack, will ya? And yeah, it doesn't really matter what it's about. 'Cause it isn't about shit. Also, yes, I will grant you that, Yuri. Let's never speak of this again. Oh, cool, another special poem. What could go wrong here? Ah, daddy issues. My favorite subject to write a poem about. What the hell is going on? Okay, I'm starting to feel delirious at this point. I might have to speed this up for my sake. Though, before I do that, I'd be truly remiss if I didn't mention this part when Atsuki says he just wants the club to be a place to hang out with a few friends. So much for us not just coming here to hang out, Natsuki! Jeez, talk about projecting, right, Yuri? Yuri, your eye is kind of bleeding a little. Sure you don't want to just take care of that. You know what, take your time. Monika gets us alone yet again, but this time things get rather intense. She takes the time to mention how it feels like me and her are the only real ones here. Right when she's setting up for a big moment. And as we're writing tonight's poem, we see a mysterious third icon bouncing up below the other two. Not a second into the next day, and Yuri is already approaching us and asking if we're ready to continue reading. And her and Natsuki are already arguing again. Off to a great start. As me and Yuri are preparing some tea for a reading time together, she grabs the water pitcher from us and leaves the room to fill it up. When asked if we can accompany her, she seems oddly staunch in her decision to go alone, which is fine, but after 10 minutes pass, yeah, it might be worth checking up on her to make sure she's okay. It seems like a recipe for disaster when we're drawn towards what sounds like someone in pain. When we finally turn the corner and find... Wait, didn't we see this already? Yeah, and the rewind and everything. I really hate to repeat myself, but it truly bears repeating. As I was saying, it bears repeating. What is even happening anymore? I know, Yuri. So did I. Well, now that we're back to new things, Yuri opens up to us yet again, this time more than she ever has before. She tells us about how ashamed she used to be of some of her hobbies and interests, and how she's so closed off out of fear of being judged for liking the things that matter most to her. She then tells us that every time we come to the club, her heart starts pounding, overwhelming her with energy and emotions that she doesn't know what to do with, and that's why she's been so off lately. Finally, she brings up how strange Monika has been acting, and how she's beginning to not feel safe around her. It's yet another nice moment of candidness that doesn't last long before she's overtaken by the crazy curse and... Oh, I see that. Alright, Yuri, you just keep talking then, because pretty soon I'm gonna be getting the hell out of here because nobody bails me out of situations like good old Monika. Hey Monika, you wanna share poems? Yeah, me too. Once again, starting with Natsuki, and this time it's actually something different. Actually, it's not really much of a poem at all. Instead, it's a note informing us of Yuri's uncharacteristic behavior and how worried she is about her, ultimately pleading with us to try and talk to her and help her seek some kind of treatment before... Oh, well, okay then, so much for me reading all that. I just need a little bit of Monika in my life. Just Monika. 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 Okay, that's actually kind of funny. I don't know if it's an intended bit of levity at this point in the game, but I really hope it is, because it worked if that was the intention. I guess I'll do Monika next. Okay, thanks for the warning. Though, I mean, how bad could it possibly be? Oh. What the fuck? I'm running out of things to say. There are only so many ways I can express disbelief in words. Are you testing me, game? Is that what this is? A test of my abilities as a writer? I'm not even doing a bit at this point. I'm just legitimately curious. Wow, I must have been really tired when I wrote that. And this by extension. Alright, enough with the meta shit. This game has plenty to go around already. Oh, great. I can have her poem too. Yeah, at this point I don't even care anymore. Let's just take a look at the damn poem. Yep. Oh, wow. You really went all out with this one, Yuri. You even took the time to decorate it. What do we got? We got bloodstains and even... Yeah, let's just say those are tea stains and not something that rhymes with tea stains. Overall, solid work. You should be really proud of yourself. I mean, I think I'm gonna vomit. That wasn't even me reading the text, by the way. I legitimately may need to after this. Why don't we do it together, Yuri? Ugh, much better. Oh, wait, what the hell is this? Yes? No? What am I saying yes or no to? I guess... no? Oh, another special poem. I think no pretty much sums that up well enough. Alright, we all know the drill by now. It's time for the festival preparations. Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, but just our luck, we can't even get that over with nice and easy, since these three just need to fight about everything, don't they? EnnEmmEee, I know how fed up you are with these two by now. No arguments here. Alright, let me just make the choice so we don't have to wait any longer for the unholy abomination that undoubtedly awaits me when I do. Okay, let's choose between these three and... What? Mouse, obey my commands. Come on, I thought you were the one thing I could count on up until now. I'm not even doing this. It just automatically goes down to Monika whenever I try to pick someone else. Oh, but wait a minute. I can outsmart this. If I just click another option as I'm hovering over it, I could pick Yuri. Well, that was a bad decision. And, well, now I just have no idea. I mean, with such a vast number of options, you can understand why I might have some trouble deciding. Yes, I picked you. Now, please, I implore you, just leave me alone. Have mercy, all of you. Okay, it actually does sound like they're all leaving. Oh, no, don't leave me alone with her. Or her, just either of them. I don't want to be left alone with either of them. To answer your question, yes, there is. Oh, you don't care anymore. Neither do I. In fact, I'll just speed this up. Just confess already. Give me the choice, give me the image, just some kind of absolution. Oh. We're given the choice. Well, golly gee. I'd find it awfully hard to turn down a girl like you, especially after such a heartfelt conversation. All the things you said about me, not to mention that wonderful poem you gave me earlier. After all we've been through together these past few days, how could I say anything other than absolutely not? So let's say yes. She starts laughing maniacally to herself and, oh. 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 Of course, she could only finish herself by damaging her most vital organ. Her boob. But hey, the fun doesn't have to stop there. Now we get the pleasure of sitting here for the entire weekend, in-game obviously, as we watch her slowly bleed out and begin to decompose. And it's at this point that I realize I really haven't been reminding myself enough throughout all this that I am still playing Doki Literature Club. It's okay though, at least we get some really riveting dialogue during all this. So this is what the skip button has been for this entire time. Finally, we make it to next week, and Natsuki is there to greet us, and pretty soon notices Yuri's dead body on the floor, so she... Yeah, that's a pretty appropriate response. What about you, Monika? Are you gonna react the same way? Wait, what the fuck? Huh? What the hell's going on? Is it too late to do the fake out ending again? I guess not. For yes, in case you haven't figured it out by now, Monika is indeed the mastermind and true main antagonist of this game. Everything you've seen so far, from the glitches to the odd behavior of the characters, and everything in between, has been 100% her doing in an attempt to woo us over and finally meet with us. Her one true love. Love in massive quotation marks, as her relationship with us leans more towards another L word, if you get what I'm getting at. Oh, and she's very candid about this fact as well. So much so that I could just shut up and let her explain all this, as she's remarkably, almost disturbingly frank about it, including and especially the parts that pertain to her friends' deaths and the role she may or may not definitely played in them. It's also worth noting that in this segment, she makes direct reference to Yuri and Sayori, but not Natsuki. I guess she truly died as she lived, forgotten and unloved. Screw you, Natsuki. Oh, and if you think that's cold, get a little Monika here. Even while describing how her friends died, which she caused, by the way, there's no remorse for any of it. She doesn't even consider the idea that we, you know, her object of affection that she's been pursuing throughout the entire game, may even be the slightest bit fazed by any of this. So there is a reason for that. In addition to being this game's secret main villain, she also reveals to us in this tell-all monologue of hers that she's been aware of her and the others' artificiality and status as just characters in a video game, and that neither she nor the players should feel all that bad about what's happened to her world or the people in it. After all, why be so concerned about something or someone if they aren't even real? This is a pretty ingenious twist if you didn't see it coming, and while towards the end it does become pretty obvious that something is up with her in particular, you might even notice it as far back as Sayori, seeing it finally laid out like this definitely makes for a memorable moment to be sure. And on top of that, we get what I find to be one of the most genuinely unsettling moments in the game, in which Monika directly addresses us, the player, rather than protag, as she's been doing the entire game. But not anymore, as in her own words, I'm not even talking to that person anymore. Am I? She goes on to state most of what I already said, even adding some nuggets of her own, like how we couldn't have possibly not known she knew it was all a game since she said so on the game's download page. Oh, come on, nobody reads that. Oh, yeah, sure, okay, it's all my fault then. Monika expresses her frustration how the other girls kept confessing to me, even when she did everything in her power to deter them. Oh, woe is you. And questioned why this keeps happening, and whether or not she's just cursed to be a third wheel to me and whomever, no matter what. It was ultimately that desperation, that need to be noticed, to be loved by the person she's sought for so long. Well, okay, not that long, like a few hours IRL and maybe a week in-game, but still, it was this that has led us to where we are now, and her final confession. That she is in love with us, and that she needs us to be here, with her, forever. Oh, thanks, Monika. I love having the illusion of choice. Oh, yeah, wonderful. My pleasure. Alright, enough of your lovey-dovey bullshit. Do you have anything interesting to say? Oh, what's this? Go on. Okay, alright. I'm just gonna put that off to the side for now. What? I'm just being safe. I should have to be with this freakiness afoot. I never associated poetry this much with fear and dread. Okay, yes I did. Everybody did, but not to this extent. I also have to say, she's really not giving me many great options here. I mean, I get that the script's broken, but it means there's only so much I can do with Onik, Manis, Moika, Monika. Well, of course you liked it anyway. Oh, don't even fucking start with that. I'm just falling more and more in love with you. Ew. Do not like. Am not flattered. Please leave alone. Oh, and the poem you wrote wasn't that great either. Ha! Got him. Pretty pleased with myself with that one. It was a pretty good one, wouldn't you say? Yeah, sure. What the fuck did you just say? I guess it was on me to start recording her without her knowledge, as she's apparently camera shy. Yeah, this character doesn't like being recorded. You want to tell her, or should I? Hey, you know what? That can wait. After all, she has a trick to show us. Well, after everything, I'm nothing if not intrigued. Let's see what you got. That sucked. Oh, and that's basically the rest of the game, by the way, at least until we take further action, which I will get to. But until then, we're really just stuck here staring into Monika's eyes as we wait until she's ready to blabber on about this or that. It's not even like we have any way of communicating with her ourselves. There's no reciprocation here, it's just wait for her to talk, then listen to what she has to say, then wait again, rinse and repeat. But alright, maybe what she says is really interesting. I mean, let me tell you, if there's anyone we can expect to have deep worldly knowledge, it's the high school girl who's lived such a sheltered life she literally hasn't been exposed to the third dimension. I can't wait to be sufficiently stimulated by what she has to say. Let's give it a whirl. I hate it already. Alright, I could just skip ahead again, but I think this advice is actually kind of important and even pretty thought-provoking to anyone wanting to create something, so I'll give her that one. She then talks about how hard it is to make friends, and while I do agree that it is hard, this part has the same problem that most of these do, being that I don't particularly care what this person has to say about this or that. I'm just kind of stuck in limbo until I do something, which I will get to. Just wait, I'll get around to it. Let me just humor her for a bit. I'll pretend I didn't read that. Monika once again brings up Sayori, I guess hoping to make amends and bury the hatchet for that whole ordeal. She does this, of course, the only way she knows how. By telling us what the last thing Sayori thought of before she died was. And according to her, Sayori goofed on the hanging and instead of breaking her neck, ended up slowly suffocating, ensuring her final moments were as agonizing as possible. Thanks, Monika, that really helps me process this whole thing. We're gonna make such a great couple. So skipping past some of the things I don't have much to say about, Monika actually raises an interesting point. If we are a couple, what would we actually do? Well, I don't know about you, Monika, but I think all your suggestions suck, and I'd hate doing all of them. And I hate you. So I guess maybe we're just not meant for one another. Okay. First of all, I absolutely did mean that. Second, why would I care if I'm being rude to you at this point? And furthermore, did she just say my fucking name? How much of my life are you paying attention to? How much can you see of me when I can't see you? What are you watching me do? How long have you been watching me? This isn't like having a girlfriend, it's like having a fucking stalker. Oh, I get it. Well, like a real stalker, I probably shouldn't keep indulging them, but she's just a video game character, so I can do whatever I want, right? Right? That's the logic, right? That's her logic anyway. She then goes on to quiz us about what a yandere is. Yandere, I don't know, leave me alone about it. And how Yuri was a prime example of one. Why yes, I am as simultaneously bewildered and unfazed by her complete lack of self-awareness as you are. By the way, have we mentioned that in between these segments you get these long stretches where it's just the player and Monika sitting in silence? Because in between these segments you get these long stretches where it's just the player and Monika sitting in silence. As if this couldn't get any more uncomfortable. Next, Monika actually brings up something kind of worth questioning. You see, since this game is marketed as just some silly dating simulator, why would I even bother playing it in the first place? I guess I was just really bored and lonely. Or maybe I'm just a disgusting pervert or something. Except she already called attention to the fact that I was recording my gameplay, so doesn't this question kind of answer itself? Doesn't this question kind of answer itself? I mean, you know why I'm doing this. I'm making a YouTube video. Why else would I play a game like this? And not that it'd be bad or anything, even if I was. I mean, stop prodding into my life. Oh, and then she goes on to say how upset she is she didn't get to wear anything other than her school uniform. And now she would have loved to wear some cute clothes for us. She even wonders if there are any artists willing to draw her in something else. I don't even know what to say to that. This game has been out for, what, 5 years? I'm sure she's gotten her wish by now. She also asks if we can share any of that out on Twitter. Of course she fucking uses Twitter. And even gives us her username. Was that a real thing, by the way? Someone let me know. She does, however, give special instructions to try to keep it PG. I know I'm going a bit long with this section, but I especially want to call attention to this line, which really gives a window into Monika's frame of thinking, where she says, and I quote, "I think the key to happiness is just to be hopelessly selfish." Wow, that's pretty revealing. Not in like a lewd way, more so in a, I now have a better understanding of why you're such a terrible person way. Then things get serious. Monika brings the G word into things and asks us if we believe in such a thing. So, and that is why I can confidently state that I am, in fact, happy now. Well, now that we dropped that big Q on us, I think it's my turn to turn the tables on her and let you all in on something that I've been curious about. So Monika says that none of it's real, correct? That all the other girls were just programs, that we shouldn't mourn their deaths or anything, blah blah blah. But here's what I noticed. Every time she does this, she seems bizarrely overcompensative. Is that a word? It should be if it isn't. As in, she seems much more like she's trying to justify all this to herself rather than just making it clear to us, indicating that maybe she's not as sure about the whole not being real thing as she's letting on. And I could easily see why based on some of the things I observed earlier in the game. Think about it. If all the characters were on a set path with no free will, why did we get things like Natsuki coming to us with a note pleading with us to talk to Yuri? What about Yuri herself noticing when she wasn't doing or saying things she wouldn't typically say or do? Why did Sayori try to save herself from hanging after she started suffocating? Monika says it's because of her survival instincts, but if she was just a video game character, why would she even have survival instincts? She shouldn't even have a brain, right? And if all this seems really silly to you, oh, you know it's all just a game, right? Well, okay, stretching that logic to the max, Monika is also just a game character. The illusion that she's real and talking to us is just that, an illusion. Bottom line, either the other girls were just as real as she is, which would make her a murderer, or she's just a program in the same way the others are, which means by her logic, I shouldn't feel all that bad if I delete her. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright. So I have DDLC loaded up right here. You have Monika. Let's get a look at this. Go to properties. Go to local files. Browse local files. Go to characters. Monika is the only one there. Let's trash her. Oh, look at me go. I am just too much, aren't I? And as if this game couldn't get any better, we had to throw in a little bit of karmic justice at the end as well. You know, in a way, Monika was right. This is the advantage of knowing it's not real. I don't have to question myself or my morals. I can just sit back and appreciate that someone in this game finally got what they deserved. Oh, but just my luck, she can't even grant me that. I'd say she's harder to kill than a cockroach, but everything about her reminds me of the creature. She tries to appeal to our humanity and make us see how all this looks from her end of things. But, and I really don't know if I should say this or not, but here it goes. This whole facade of powerlessness and vulnerability she's putting up right here is just that. A facade. And it's one of the things about this game that might hit a little close to home for some people, so strap in. Earlier, I compared Monika to a stalker, or rather just an all-purpose abuser. And the sad reality is that this is an uncommon behavior for those kinds of people. Playing the victim is one of the easiest ways to make the actual victim in this scenario question their victimhood and make them feel like they're the one in the wrong. So, while I'm not going to get hung up on this particular scenario, since it is just a game at the very end of the day, I do still say to anyone who actually felt bad for Monika in this scene and questioned if deleting her was the right decision, don't. That's exactly what people like her, who do exist, want you to think. I know I said in the last part I wouldn't get all armchair psychologist on you, but this really isn't that. It's kinda common sense. At least I hope it is. Regardless, after Monika denounces us as the most subhuman excuse of human trash possible, she seems content to just fade away and let us close the game. But then something happens. Rather than trying to defend herself or pinning everything on everyone else or just saying that it isn't real like she's been doing, she instead takes a different approach. She reflects. She looks inward and sees that she was in the wrong, not us, and that it's her fault for destroying a world that we just wanted to be a part of. Wow. How sad is it that a literal 2D character is actually more open to self-reflection and willing to admit fault than some people in the real world? I wish more people were like that in real life. Yeah, you get the idea. And after seemingly resigning herself to her fate, she reveals one final tidbit of information. She didn't delete the others. She couldn't bring herself to. Even though she knew they weren't real, they were still her friends, and she loved them. And so for the sake of them, and for us, she's willing to do this one final favor. Third fucking time's the charm, I guess. This time around, it's Sayori who started the club, and that's partially the reason for Protag joining. Oh wow, he's actually kind of being a good friend, that's new. Things once again progress pretty similarly from here on out. We go to the club room, meet Yuri and Natsuki, who even seem to be getting along a bit better this time, and we agree to join the literature club with little to no fuss. It seems like things should be wrapping up right about now. The villain is vanquished, everything is how it should be. Wow, this was actually a pretty conventional happy ending, all things considered. Can't say I was expecting that. Wait, why did the music stop? No, come on, please. No, what's this? No, why do I even, what is, no, come on, why, we were just there, it's like, why would you? Yes, it seems Monika has returned, back from the dead in a way, to save us from Sayori. And just when you think there are no more curveballs it can possibly throw at you, you're treated to something truly shocking.
Can you hear me?
Voice acting? I thought I'd seen everything! But really though, it is nice to finally be able to put a voice to one of these characters. It also kind of makes me wonder what the other ones sound like, since if you think about it, if Monika can have a canonical voice, there's no reason to believe the others don't. We just never got to hear them. I have to admit, I'm a bit curious as to what they'd sound like. Anyway, we finally get a payoff to the setup of Monika learning how to play piano, as the credits roll over her playing a really lovely song that I'm obviously not going to play in its entirety here. If you want to hear it for yourself, without just playing the game, but I digress, just look up Your Reality DDLC or something along those lines. I really recommend it. It's a good song that definitely helps close out the game on a good note. Along with this credit sequence, which features stills from the game being slowly deleted by Monika. That's all well and good and all, but I am left with some questions. Because I didn't see a lot of Natsuki scenes, I must have just not interacted with her enough. I don't really know what the context is for some of these. So to anyone who does, I feel the need to ask, what the hell is going on in this scene? Seriously, I'm genuinely curious. Oh, and by the way, thanks for the shout out, Salvato. Really glad I could help out. I'm sure if Monika was here, she'd say the same thing. Seriously, you trying to make me cry here? Because it's not gonna work. I never cry at games. Unless I lose. But jokes aside, we're just about done here. There's one final message from Monika. Pause it if you want to read it. There it is. 3, 2, 1. And the game closes out by saying that the script file is missing or corrupt and to reinstall if we wish to play it again. So that's where the game ends. Assuming you played it like most people did. There are alternate endings. 2, in fact. Both of which I will go over now. The first alternate ending, which I dub the good ending, is unlocked by viewing all the optional cutscenes and confessing to Sayori before she passes. Yeah, all those detailed drawings you saw in my playthrough, those are only a fraction of the total amount that are in the entire game. And the only way to view all of them is to save and reload multiple times in order to get different reactions out of the different characters. Once you've done that, things play out pretty much the same, but with one major change. towards the end, instead of going all psycho on us, Sayori simply thanks us for joining the literature club, bids the player adieu, and tells them she loves them. Then we get the credit sequence like before, only without Monika deleting the files, and when we reach the end of the credits, instead of a letter from Monika, we're met with a lengthier letter from Dan Salvato himself. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, pause if you want to, 3, 2, 1, and that's where the game ends there. A little less bittersweet than before, wouldn't you say? Well, to balance that out, we have, to my knowledge, the final ending, which occurs if you preemptively delete Monika's character file, leading to Sayori having a mental breakdown, and then that happening. At this point, I'd be surprised if one of these endings didn't involve Sayori hanging herself. Believe it or not, I'm sure there are games out there that are weirder and more fucked up than this one, and I'm even willing to bet there are games that take more chances and throw the player for more crazy loops. Still, I think Doki Doki Literature Club stands out in a few key areas that I simply have to draw attention to. First and foremost, though not specific to this game, the indie horror game scene of the past 10 years strikes again with a game that truly makes the most out of its limited resources. It's no secret that this game doesn't have much to offer in the gameplay department. The visuals are incredibly limited and most of your player input consists of just hitting the spacebar a bunch. But at the same time, not only did I ever really notice or care, but perhaps counterintuitively, this game is actually one that truly feels like it belongs in the medium that it belongs in. And only that. Dare I say, more than any other game I've played. What do I mean by that? Well, think about how much video games, seemingly for the past 20 or so years, if not more, have been striving in equal measures for being realistic and being cinematic. That's been a focus of a large part of the gaming industry for decades now. It's been realistic this and cinematic that. It's curious that a medium that is so wildly unique and has so much to offer that no other medium can have an industry so focused on either imitating another medium or reality itself. To that, we have this game, which isn't cinematic or realistic. It also isn't very gameplay oriented, but as I said, feels more like it was meant to be a game and only a game than almost any other I've played. The term meta is often thrown around to describe works of fiction that like to blur the lines between fantasy and reality. They are works that shatter that invisible boundary between the reader, audience, or indeed player, and actually acknowledge their own artificiality, breaking the fourth wall, as it were. This concept has existed for a long time and has found its way into many different mediums, but it's kind of surprising that it took until 2017 to get a game that not only dabbles in this, but really maximizes its potential with it, seeing as how it's probably the medium that allows you to do the most with the concept, not to mention it not being used in a comedic setting, which is how meta elements usually seem to find their way into art. Let me explain what I mean. In a movie, show, or stage performance, you are merely an audience member, a spectator gazing upon this different world you've been transported to. You can only watch as events beyond your control play out in front of you. In a game, you're not just a spectator, you're an active participant. You're not just watching events unfold, you're making them unfold. And even as you watch them play out, you still feel more connected to them. This game, due to it technically being a download on your computer, is not hampered by the same restrictions as a non-interactive or reactive form of media that can only acknowledge its own existence, but not do anything with it. Only a game like this one could actually alter your files, delete things, allow you to delete things yourself, and actually have the game respond. All this is really cool, unique, and even feeds into another strength of this game. In most games, we are forced to interact with the world through some kind of avatar. Since we, ourselves, cannot be transported into cyberspace and actually start playing, we tend to need something or someone to help bridge the gap. We call this a player character, and they are what actually exists in the world, not us. This game begins with the same setup. We do have a player character through which we view the world of the game, but by the end it has become more than apparent that they are not what Monika has been after this whole time. We are. You want agency in your game? Here it is, because in this game, we're not just playing as the main character, we are the main character. Let me repeat that. In this game, we are not just playing as the main character, we are the main character. For just a brief moment, we become the thing that everything revolves around, the most important point of interest in the world. And what's even crazier is that by the end, you don't want to be. I'm gonna get into some thematic analysis here, so if you find any of that boring as hell, I guess skip ahead, but if you're interested in hearing what I have to say about what this game means and how I interpret it, stick around. The first and most obvious one I picked up on is the underlying message of how people are often judgmental towards others and what they like, even if it's altogether harmless. Be honest now, how many times have you felt like you couldn't express your love for something simply because you feared being socially ridiculed for it? It sucks feeling like you're not able to show off your interests simply because they're weird or creepy or cringy or whatever. And while in the age of the internet it might seem like these things are becoming more accepted, the more I look into it, the less I believe that. I still see people being labeled as creeps or neckbeards simply for liking certain things that we've deemed as being for those kinds of people. In fact, the neckbeard pejorative kind of bothers me in general. I mean, who's to say that every socially awkward, unkempt, overweight geek happens to be a bad person just for being a socially awkward, unkempt, overweight geek? Personally, I don't care how many body pillows someone owns, how much fat furry art they draw, or any number of other deplorable things they do. As long as they don't inundate others with it and aren't hurting anyone, who the hell cares what they do in their free time or how they spend their money? That's their business. And it's nice to have a game that voices some of my frustrations on this issue as well, so thank you, Doki Doki Literature Club. With that said, however, I don't think we should overlook the fairly obvious subtext of this being a game that somewhat tries to depict what it would be like to actually be fawned over by a yandere, again, whatever. Getting back to what I said about this game positioning you as the main character and making that out to be a bad thing, since the barrier is shattered, you get to feel firsthand what it's like to be pursued by someone, have them forsake everything, and have you as their only object of obsession. Twice, no less. I've never had a stalker personally, and I pray to God I never do, but if this game serves as even the slightest indication of what it might be like, well, that just strengthens my resolve to never have it happen to me or even wish it upon my worst enemies. It also kind of acts as an inverse of what this dynamic usually is, and raises an interesting point about how, what if that cute anime girl was as interested in you as you were in her? Almost acting as some sort of weird role reversal, since you know how people have waifus? Well, in this game, it's like the tables have turned in a weird way, and you are the waifu. I thought that was interesting. One final bit of messaging I observed, and again, if you don't want to hear any of this, feel free to skip ahead a little, is the game's handling of topics like suicide and self-harm. This game, which features multiple instances of characters engaging in self-destructive behaviors and even taking their own lives, does try to draw attention to how we need to watch out for these things and try to be there for each other when needed. Even before this point is blatantly spelled out by Monika, it's already alluded to throughout, that we need to be there for the people we care about when they need us, otherwise everyone suffers. Throughout the first half of the game, leading up to Sayori revealing her depression to us, we get several hints that something might be off about her that we don't take notice of. We don't notice these things until it's too late. It's true what Protag says. He could have saved Sayori, but even if the game allowed him to, would he have noticed the signs? That monologue from Protag after the deed has been done, it really speaks to how suicide affects everyone in its immediate vicinity, not just the person actually killing themselves. The tremendous guilt those who knew a victim of suicide must feel as they blame themselves for what happened and think of all the ways they could have prevented it, I'd imagine that shit sticks with you, and it's why it's important to catch these things before they happen. It can not only save a life, but also a whole lot of heartache and self-hatred. And all this leads into one of the main things I noticed about this game, which is that for a horror game, it really doesn't have as many scares as you might expect. In fact, when playing this game, I found that I found much less time screaming in terror, and more time thinking about how this game was mostly just really sad. And it's funny that I'd be so surprised by that, considering that the line between creepy and weepy is actually a little blurrier than one might expect. What makes all this work, though, is that nothing in the game feels forced. The scary stuff isn't forced, the sad stuff isn't forced. Everything is very well placed. The game is shockingly light on jump scares or any other cheap tactics like that. Instead, it's more focused on setting the tone and atmosphere. In particular, the main aim of the game seems to be to make you uncomfortable. Not necessarily scared or freaked out, just contribute to a general feeling of uneasiness. And the fact that the major shakeup happens a good deal of the way into the game just adds to this feeling. Past a certain point, You simply don't know what this game is going to throw at you next. And even if you do, the anticipation of when still remains. In fact, anyone who's played this once and just considers it a one-trick pony that completely relies on you not knowing what's going to happen, I'd actually recommend playing through it again to see if it can still stand on its own even after losing that surprise factor. You might not think it does, but I do. As for the heavy stuff, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but all I'll say is that this game truly does an extraordinary job of making me feel really bad for all the characters. Yes, even her. There are so many good things about this game besides all this. The music is absolutely incredible. It's so nice to listen to, and the fact that it's so cheery actually helps enhance the horror, because when the game gets scary and the music remains the same, it just sets the tone even further of, hey, what's the problem here? There's nothing wrong. Listen to how nice everything is. It makes you feel like you're the weird one, like there's no problem at all here. It's very effective and fitting for a game that's meant to make you feel like you're losing your mind. I like how this game handles all the characters. So much of your experience playing the game hinges on how attached you become to the girls. While that might vary from player to player, it certainly worked for me. While on the topic, I love how Monika in particular is portrayed. Some might disagree with me, but I think she makes for a very effective and very scary antagonist who you also really understand on some level. I like how the game handles the graphic scenes and the more disturbing imagery. Like with the jump scares, they're very spaced out, and when they hit hard. Sayori and Yuri's deaths are both incredibly memorable scenes that are some of the things that stick with players the most after finishing. I could go on and on, but the point is, if I wanted to make an entirely separate video just talking about the game rather than playing it, I probably could. Now, is there anything bad I could say about this game? Anything that doesn't quite come together and keeps it from being truly perfect? Well, I guess the first part of the game probably goes on a bit too long. If you notice me skimming through a lot of it, that was because there are sizable portions of the game earlier on that don't really offer anything that interesting. I get why they're there, but I think we could probably get the gist of what the game is supposed to be like and have the shake-up hit just as hard even if we cut some of this out. I also think the foreshadowing can get a little ham-fisted at times. Quite a bit of it is pretty subtle as well, so it makes the moments where it's not stick out like a sore thumb. That's kind of it as far as really major complaints go though. I know this isn't a game that'll work for everybody, but from my point of view, I really do think it's just straight up wonderful. It richly deserved its popularity, and I'm really glad to finally be able to say that I've played it for myself. But what do you think? I feel like most people are kind of in agreement on this game, so I'm not expecting too many dissenting viewpoints, but if this game didn't grab you in the way that it did me, tell me why. And if you also loved it, then feel free to join in the Doki Doki love in the comments down below. And with that, we've all finally made it to the end of this very, very long video. So long, in fact, that I actually had to split it up into 2 parts. And yes, that was in fact foreshadowed in the Dinosaur King review, thank you for remembering, or if you didn't, then hopefully now you do. But more importantly than all that, thank you so much to everybody who stopped by and watched this video, or any of my videos, and just made this channel a little bit better with your viewership. I'm thankful for what I have. I'm thankful that anybody even bothered watching my videos, let alone commenting on them, let alone leaving such really kind and supportive and encouraging words that I saw in the comment sections of some of my videos. That is really cool to see. But no, I don't want to draw this out too long. I don't want to get too sappy on you. I'll probably save that for a later time. But for now, I'll just say thank you to everybody who's watched. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. End of both videos, I assume, because once again, 2-parter. Hope you all have a great day, night, evening, whenever you're watching this. See you in Season 2.